Hey everyone, it's Rob Emery here again. Following on from my last little video that I put out last week, where I said I was going to start sharing my story with the aspirations of inspiring people out there to basically, I suppose, find their way through adversity and get through difficult times and all that kind of stuff. So here goes. I'm going to share today the day that the quadruplets were born. I think it's a good day, and it's a day that I learned some valuable lessons. So anyway, let me crack right into it. So 28 June 2015, I'd gone off to work at an expo down at the local shopping centre in a partnership with one of the furniture stores in our estate agency. And at about 9:45 in the morning, it was about half an hour before I was going to leave anyway. For some reason, I took my phone out of my pocket and I looked at it. My phone had been on silent, obviously, because I'd been dealing with people and I was out in the public and I didn't want it to disturb me while I was chatting to people. But for whatever reason, at 9:45, I decided to take my phone out and have a look at it. And as I looked at it, I saw my wife's number ringing. So I answered the phone. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And it was my son on the other side, who was 13 at the time, Josh. And all I heard him say was, "The boys are here," which in itself was a little bit early because it was only 26 and a half weeks into the pregnancy. And I said, "That's impossible." He goes, no, Dad, the boys are here." So anyway, I dropped everything, got in my car. Fortunately, I was only 4 minutes away, and while I was driving, I quickly phoned the ambulance. I phoned my wife's parents, and I got to the house, came down the passage. I saw my daughter standing outside the bathroom with her eyes like this, and I walked into my bathroom, and there was my wife on the floor, 3 babies in her arms, and obviously bit of a mess. But anyway, so I'd seen that one of the baby's umbilical cords had broken while I was trying to chat to the hospital and get things sorted. Sort of wrapped the boy up in a blanket, gave Josh, the boy, and I said to him, "Just breathe on him and keep him warm." In the meantime, we'd put on a movie for Scarlett to try and keep her busy down the other end. And then, things just started snowballing from there for the day. Following that, my wife's parents walked in. I saw a dad coming down the passage. I immediately got him to take Josh and the little baby and Scarlett down to the hospital. I said, "They're all waiting, they're ready for you. Just go straight in there." So they went straight in, they got him down, and they stayed at the hospital while we waited for the ambulance, which felt like an absolute eternity, and it must have been close to an hour before they arrived. So the ambulance arrives there. We're trying to get everything sorted, and things obviously absolute chaos. There's 3 babies, my wife holding the 2 that are left, and everyone's, I suppose, quite clearly shaken. So the ambulance comes in, we get the 2 babies, eventually cut the umbilical cords, we get them into the ambulance. I said, "What about my wife?" And the ambulance guy says, "No, you can only have 2 people in the ambulance at a time." Now we've got to keep in mind that the babies were big. Between the 2 of them, they weighed less than 2 kilograms, but we could only have 2 people in a time. So anyway, but the baby's off straight down to the hospital, waited for the ambulance to come back to fetch my wife, and she take her down to the hospital. And eventually I got everyone out the house, down, packed up. I said, "I'll be down there now, let me just locked up the house." Drove down to the hospital, walked in, went in through to maternity to see my wife. The 3 babies that were born were in the NICU unit already, and the gynecologist was just checking over my wife to make sure that everything was okay. And my wife said, "I'm sore, there was still a bump over here." Now we've got to take into mind that we were only expecting triplets. So the doctor's like, "I think there's another one." Anyway, so my wife had asked me to leave the room while they did this because she said there's nothing I could do anyway. So I thought, well, I'm off to go and do paperwork, get everyone signed in and stuff like that. Had gone down. I was sitting filling in the admission forms at the main reception. And my brother-in-law walked down the passage, and he said to me, "Rob, there's another one." And I was like, "No, dude, please don't play games. It's like, I'm quite emotional now. Like, there's no time for practical jokes." And he was like, "No, seriously, there's another one." So as it turned out, my wife had complained about this pain, and the doctor had believed it to be another one, and he was like, pushed my wife, said, "I can't," anyway. So he gave a little shove in the stomach, out-popped the 2015 International Hide and Seek Champion of the World, Harvey. Blue, not breathing. The nurse had put him in one of these little bowl things, and as she ran around the corner, she started crying, and she was like, I can't believe he's not going to make it. And as she ran around the corner, he took a breath, and I suppose that was it. And obviously quite relief. We didn't see any of this. This was just something she had told me a little bit later. So this was all around lunchtime by now, and I was trying to get in to go and see the other babies while the guys were busy with my wife, and everyone sort of sitting in the waiting room, like the whole family and friends, and everyone had sort of started congregating, and they kept on going, come back in 20 minutes, come back in half an hour, come back in half an hour. So eventually I thought to myself, okay, cool, I'm going to take Scarlett home, get her changed, and have a shower and get out of my work clothes, because I was sitting in a crisp white shirt and my famous green tie. Funny enough, I managed to keep it that way, even amongst all the craziness. So, got Scarlett and them sorted out. I went back down. Scarlett and Josh went with my wife's parents, and eventually around late afternoon, 5:30 in the afternoon, we got to see our wonderful 4 boys. At this time, they didn't have a name, so I think it was Emery 1, Emery 2, Emery Baby 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we got through to see them, and I'll never forget how blunt the nurse had been with us when we arrived there. And she was like, this is going to be the hardest thing you're ever going to do in your life, is to have your children in neonatal. And it was this precise moment where my wife and I had this chat to me, and this is, I think, what gets us through, and this is the whole point of this chat, is we decided right at that moment that we had to live each day as it came. We've almost got to be like there's no tomorrow, and we decided that day we would just live like that. And I think it's helped us through the tough times. I mean, it's been 5.5 years of just mounting stuff and finding out new challenges with the boys. We'll get into that on another video. But that point of living day by day, living in the now, like just concentrate on what you can do now and just be present at the moment. There's almost nothing you can do to influence tomorrow, which you can't do anyway, so you may as well just live day by day. And that was it. So that was the beginning of our journey, and neonatal lasted 172 days for us. And living day by day was the only way to get through that kind of challenge. Now, it's not to say you can't have ambitions and stuff like that. I mean, like, obviously there's still, you can have personal ambitions and stuff like that. And I think the whole story, or the whole moral of this, or the lesson that I learned on that specific day, was firstly, like, life is a miracle, but secondly, not to live past today. You've got to live today and enjoy every moment that you have, because life can be taken away in the snap of a finger. Anything that I learned from the day that our quadruplets were born was definitely live in the moment, enjoy today. It's not to say don't have goals and aspirations, because I mean, you need to plan and you need to have something to work towards, but don't forget that today is happening now. And I mean, if you've all watched Kung Fu Panda, that tortoise or turtle Kung Fu master, he put it very simply. He was like, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. And that's it. And ever since I attached that saying to that day, live in the present, live in the now, and just enjoy every single day. There's nothing more to it, really. So I look forward to sharing some more. If you've got any questions or is there anything you want to chat about, please feel free to drop me a message. I'll be glad to have a chat to you about it. And that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed or are going to enjoy the story that I tell. Until next time, Emery out.